So today, in this video, we are going to discuss the cost of living in Tanzania, the cost of living in Ghana. And I'm making these videos, I'm making them for educational purposes. I'm not against Ghana, I'm not against Tanzania, I'm not against US, UK or the Caribbean. However, it's good that our brothers and sisters understand that the cost of living in Africa is cheaper compared to where they were living. However, even in Africa, we have divisions of being cheap. We have others which are more cheap, others are not cheap. That's it. Why Tanzania and Ghana? Tanzania and Ghana because African Americans are choosing these two countries. For Ghana, it was the 2019 year of return. For Tanzania, it was John Pombe Magufuli. Former president. But how is the cost of living in these countries? Is it affordable or is it expensive? That is what we are going to discuss today, so that you an African American or any African diaspora who is looking towards coming to Africa can have an easy stay and you have the options right in top of your hands. Yeah. So let's dive in. Sometimes, even the cost of eating basic foods in Africa might be a challenge, because in Africa itself, it's a challenge for Africans. How about you, an African American? Eating can be difficult if you choose the wrong kind of country eventually. For example, when I fry 2 eggs in Kenya, it might be cheaper as compared to when I fry 2 eggs in Ghana. Another example is this. When I prepare apples, like the one you see me with, this apple might be cheaper in Kenya, but it might be very expensive that even an average person cannot buy. In Kenya, this apple costs 30 shillings, like something like 0.1 US dollars. This apple over here. So everything to the details and everything we are going to discuss. What I always tell Africans and African Americans is this: when you come to Africa, eat like an African. These are potatoes. Don't go for KFC. Don't go for McDonald's. Those foods are chemicals. In Africa, eat the African way. Eat potatoes, which are very, very cheap. These potatoes cost just 100 shillings in Kenya. But the same potatoes might even cost $5 in Ghana. But it's cheaper. We're discussing Kenya, but we are discussing Ghana and Tanzania. But I'm telling you, in relative to this, eat the African way. One thing I need to remind you is this: $1 US cost 2,500 Tanzanian shillings. $1 US cost 11 Ghanaian cedis. You see, the African money is losing its power, but the Ghanaian money is even becoming strong against the US dollar. This tells us that Ghana is an expensive city. But Ghana is not a bad country, it's just expensive. If you have the money, choose Ghana. But if you don't have the money, or if you want to save some money, you know what to do. Hey babe.
Yes.
What's up?
I'm just here. I want to take breakfast.
So do you think the cost of living in Africa is cheaper? In Kenya, say?
In Kenya.
Yeah, this is babe. She's brutally honest. She'll tell you something even if you don't want to hear it. And so, I thought of asking her this question to have her honest opinion. See how she's thinking right now.
I can say cheap is a relative word. Let's just say it's quite affordable.
Yes.
Yeah. But the cost of living is rising up. I don't know why, but the prices of everything is just rising.
So between Ghana and Tanzania, which country do you think would have a higher cost of living?
I think Ghana has a higher cost of living.
Why is that?
I always hear people, because I've never gone to Ghana, but I always hear people complaining about Ghana. The cost of living is high, especially Accra in Ghana.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Enjoy your tea.
Thank you.
So that you as an African American can have an easy stay in Africa. That's it. And that is one thing you need to know, you know. But the cost of living in Africa is cheaper compared to the US. It's just way cheaper. I can't just wait to tell you everything. From the housing and all that. Now, let me just finish taking my tea, and then let's dive into the video. There you are going to learn a lot of things. Yes. So make sure you subscribe. Now, I want us to be honest. When you first hear of the word Africa, what comes into your mind is that this is a very cheap continent. Yes, Africa is not cheap. Africa is cheaper as compared to the United States. When I say African is cheaper, does not make Africa everything is affordable. Everything is not affordable. In fact, everything is not affordable for African Americans coming to Africa. You see, in Ghana, they might be complaining because Ghana is the most expensive city or the most expensive country for African Americans, even more expensive than South Africa. But does this make Ghana less favorable for African Americans? No. Ghana is more expensive than Tanzania, but does this make Ghana less favorable to African Americans? No. Does this make Ghana less than other countries? No. And so for this reason, we have two major countries that African Americans are moving to. These major countries are not Uganda, but Tanzania, and we have Ghana. For Ghana, it's obvious. The country initiated the 2019 year of return, which many black Americans chose to move to Africa during that initiative. Even right now, as I'm recording this video, some African Americans are moving to Ghana, and some other African Americans are moving to Tanzania. But why do you think some people are moving to Tanzania? Well, this can be explained by the former president John Pombe Magufuli. This president was such an honest president, and the nation of Tanzania really loved him. You see, for this reason, black Americans found it comfortable and they found it favorable to move to Tanzania. I think it's because the president also welcomed these brothers and sisters, our brothers and sisters, to this East African nation, my neighbor country. What we are going to discuss today is about finances. The cost of living between Ghana and Tanzania. How much is the cost of living? So when I say the cost of living, there's a lot to consider. However, we are going to look at the overview cost of basic products in Ghana, in Tanzania, in the USA, in the UK, and in the Caribbean, considering a few essential items as the ones I'm going to give an example, okay? One thing you should note that prices always fluctuate, you see, but it can never fluctuate to a greater level. So this is just an approximation, but not the exact. Some might be exact, some might not be exact. We are going to discuss Ghana, Tanzania, US, UK, and Caribbean. The reason why I've included US, UK, and Caribbean is because African Americans are leaving their countries, moving from these countries I've stated. The Caribbean is the islands of Jamaica, Cuba, all that, those islands, Barbados, you see, because we still have our brothers and sisters in these parts of the world, you see. However, what is the cost of living as compared? What is the cost of living in Ghana and Tanzania as compared to these three regions I've told you about? So, the cost of living is a significant factor that affects the quality of life and the well-being of individuals and families in any country. These countries, both known for their cultural diversity and natural beauty, they have unique economic and landscapes and social landscapes, which influence the expenses required to sustain a comfortable life. And also, another thing to remind you, the cost of living in a place always boils down to somebody personally, their personal interests, their taste, their flavors. If you want big things, of course big things are gonna cost you. This is one thing you have to consider. But the basic things are the cost of housing, food and groceries, we have transportation, we have healthcare, we have education. Those are the most important thing. First of all, let's take a look at the cost of housing in Ghana. First of all, Ghana has experienced a rapid urbanization in recent years, particularly in cities like Accra and Kumasi. We know Accra is the capital of Ghana and Kumasi is one of the big cities we have in Ghana. The influx of people into urban areas has led to an increased demand for real estate, resulting in higher property prices, which is the property now is the rentals or land, whichever. So property ownership in major cities has become a challenge for many, with middle and lower income individuals and families finding it increasingly difficult to afford homes or apartments. Rental costs in urban areas of Ghana are also notably high, further exacerbating the housing affordability issue. The government has initiated various housing projects to address the shortage of affordable housing, such as the Affordable Housing Project, but the demand for such housing remains a significant challenge up to today. So you can just see, even for the native Ghanaian, the cost of living is becoming difficult for them. For a native person, it's becoming difficult. How difficult do you think it will be for an African American who is not planned? And this is my worry, because some African Americans are not planned. They perceive Africa as a cheap country. They forget other factors. They forget that if they come to Africa, they stop living like Africans and they resume living as African Americans. So without further ado and without talking more, let's take a look at Tanzania. So in comparison, Tanzania has seen a more moderate increase in housing cost in major cities like Dar es Salaam and Arusha. Affordable housing projects in Tanzania are more accessible, aimed at addressing the housing needs of the population, and have been relatively successful in providing housing options for various income groups. Rental prices in Tanzania tend to be more affordable compared to Ghana, making it easier for residents to secure suitable accommodation. The availability of land and lower property prices outside major cities provide more options for those looking to buy and build homes in Tanzania. I told you, Ghana is the most expensive city. It's the most. I think the influx of African Americans in Ghana is what has made Ghana to have such an expensive taste. It's really expensive. Tanzania is cheaper than Ghana, but people will still love Ghana. Ghana has a lot to offer which Tanzania cannot offer. Ghana has the Elmina Castle. We don't have Elmina Castle in Tanzania. We have the Cape Coast Castle in Ghana. We don't have that Cape Coast Castle here. So Ghana holds that rich heritage and the history of slavery as compared to Tanzania. You see, I'm not saying slavery didn't take part in East Africa, it took, but the one which is documented and the one which holds a great number was the one of transatlantic trade, and Ghana was the stop. Ghana is where people were gathered before being transported. That's why people feel a greater connection. No matter how expensive it is, people still run there. And that is how I can explain it. So, in the United States, housing cost in the US can vary significantly based on location. You see, in major cities like New York and San Francisco, housing costs are among the highest in the world. Oh my God. While rural areas might offer more affordable housing, the overall cost of living in the US is relatively high, very high. How about Britain? The United Kingdom has a diverse housing market, with the land being one of the most expensive cities for real estate in the world. Housing costs in London can be comparable or even higher than the major cities we have in the US. How about the Caribbean? In the Caribbean, we are going to use the country of Jamaica. So, housing costs in Caribbean countries like Jamaica vary by location. In tourist-heavy areas, housing cost can be relatively high, while rural areas offer more affordable housing options. It's generally more affordable than the US or the UK. But generally, Ghana and Tanzania is better than these. Rental prices in Tanzania are generally lower compared to Ghana, making it more affordable for residents to secure accommodation. The availability of land and lower properties outside major cities provide more options for people looking to buy and build homes. You see, Ghana as compared to Tanzania is expensive, but Ghanaians, or rather Tanzanians, or rather African Americans, these three people, we are all Africans. I think the countries which African Americans will choose to move at is just their own preferences. But if you're looking towards financial sustainability, Tanzania, according to housing, is better. You see, according to cost of housing is better because it's cheaper. And also because in Ghana we have more African Americans than Tanzania. I think that's why there is a high cost of land, the high cost of renting houses, because the Ghanaian government might perceive that African Americans are coming with money, and so they will just raise the price of things up. You see, this is even bad for the people of Ghana because they are suffering the consequences, which are not really consequences. Because African Americans are moving to Ghana, it should not make Ghana an expensive city. However, Ghana holds a very significant role in the history of Black Americans, because Ghana we have the Elmina Castle, Tanzania we don't have the Elmina Castle. Ghana we have the Cape Coast Castle, Tanzania we don't have the Cape Coast Castle. So I'm told that inside this castle you can imagine the pain, the suffering that African ancestors, they were Africans then, or the ancestors of African Americans had to experience while they were in those caves. Now it's an important thing. In as much as I might be telling you Ghana is expensive than Tanzania, some of you will still choose to move to Ghana because of your taste. No problem with that. By any means, do what you have to do. My work is just to show you what's there. So we are going to look at a difference or a comparison compared to US, UK and the Caribbean. So we are going to look at the cost of food and groceries in Ghana and in Tanzania, and let's see the differences. First of all, it's an overview of the cost of basic products in Ghana and Tanzania with the reference to the US, the UK and the Caribbean. We are going to consider a few essential elements or items, the ones I'm going to show you. So first is Ghana. A loaf of bread in Ghana costs approximately 5 to 7 Ghanaian cedis. You see? 1 kg of rice costs around 8 to 12 Ghanaian cedis. A dozen of eggs cost about 10 to 15 Ghanaian cedis. 1 liter of milk cost approximately 6 to 9 Ghanaian cedis. 1 kg of chicken breast cost roughly 20 to 30 Ghanaian cedis. We have Tanzania, Dar es Salaam to be specific. Okay, the price in Tanzania, does not matter the city. I think it's just overall. In Tanzania, Dar es Salaam, a loaf of bread will cost 1,500 to 2,500 Ghanaian shillings. Oh, wait. Ghanaian money is stronger than Tanzania shillings, okay? That is one thing we need to understand. So 1 kg of rice approximately costs 2,500 to 3,500 Tanzanian shilling. A dozen of eggs cost approximately 3,500 to 5,000 Tanzanian shillings. 1 liter of milk cost 1,500 to 2,500 Tanzanian shillings. 1 kg of chicken breast cost approximately 7,000 to 10,000 Tanzanian shillings. That's it. So United States, a loaf of bread costs 2 to 4 USD. 1 kg of rice costs 2 to 4 USD. A dozen eggs cost 2 to 4 USD. 1 gallon of milk costs 3 to 4 USD. 1 kg of chicken breast costs 8 to 12 USD. This is way more expensive. Oh my god. United Kingdom, which is London, a loaf of bread costs £1 to £2. 1 kg of rice costs £1 to £2. A dozen of eggs cost £2 to £3. 1 litre of milk costs 0.85 to 1.20 pounds. 1 kg of chicken breast costs 7 to 10 pounds. We have the Caribbean, where we're going to use the countries of Barbados and Bridgerton. A loaf of bread approximately 2 to 3 Barbadian dollars, BBD. 1 kg of rice costs 4 to 6 Barbarian dollars. 1 dozen of eggs cost 5 to 7 Barbarian dollars. 1 liter of milk cost roughly 3 to 5 Barbarian dollars. 1 kg of chicken breast, approximately 13 to 17 Barbarian dollars. That's the cost of basic things. These are basic. We have wheat and everything. So please keep in mind that these prices are approximate and can fluctuate over time, you see, due to various factors, including local supply and demand, currency exchange rates, and inflation. Additionally, prices may differ significantly based on the specific region or city within each country. It is always advisable to check with the local markets or stores for the most up-to-date pricing information when you are planning your expenses in any of these locations. Now let's look at in-depth of food and groceries in Ghana. So Ghana is known for its culinary culture. It offers a wide variety of food options, ranging from local dishes like jollof rice and fufu to international cuisines. You see, the cost of food in Ghana has been on the rise, impacting staple items such as rice, maize, vegetables, and fruits. This increase in food prices affects the average household budget. So while street food and local markets offer affordable dining options, the cost of dining out at upscale restaurants or buying imported and luxury food items can significantly inflate the overall cost of groceries. I told you it all boils down to the personal preference. If you love some kind of foods like KFC or you love McDonald's, those things are gonna cost you money in Africa. But if you can just try and live the African way, we don't prepare poisonous food, you will enjoy. This is a nice thing to consider, you see. And then we have Tanzania. Tanzania offers a range of traditional dishes that can be more affordable compared to dining at international restaurants. Staple foods include ugali, pilau, and mishkaki. Basic food items like rice, maize, and vegetables are relatively cheaper in Tanzania as compared to Ghana due to the country's agricultural activities, which play a vital role in keeping the cost of food very low. Okay, the prevalence of street food culture in Tanzania provides a plethora of affordable and delicious food for both the locals and tourists. However, the cost of imported or specialized foods, which may be sought after by expatriates, can significantly affect the overall cost of groceries. What I'm saying is just one. If you want to eat the American way in Africa, it's gonna cost you. But if you want to eat the African way in Africa, it's not gonna cost you. Now, let's try and look at transportation, both in Ghana and in Tanzania. Transportation costs in Ghana can have a substantial impact on the overall cost of living, primarily due to traffic congestion in major cities. The high fuel prices combined with the time spent in traffic can lead to increased expenses for daily commutes. The high fuel prices, even in Kenya right now, is not manageable. People who have cars are now leaving their cars back home and they're walking to work. If work is closer, or they're using the matatus. Now, even people who have cars are leaving their cars due to cost of fuel here in the country of Kenya, you see. So let's move back to Ghana. While public transportation options include both buses and trottos, which are available in Ghana, they may not always be the best or reliable or cost-effective particularly in urban areas. Even in Kenya, we don't love, I don't love those matatus very much. They're loud and there is always just high. You see, I think I just don't like them that much. I don't find them convenient that much. For a visitor, he might like them for a few days or a few weeks, but if you are always using them daily, they'll get into your head and you'll feel bad. So let's look at the cost of transport in Tanzania as compared to Ghana. Tanzania has invested in developing an extensive public transportation system, including buses and daladalas, which are minibuses. And major bus terminals, which Tanzania is greatly manufacturing roads and all that for these buses. So Ubongo Bus Terminal, which is a terminal in Tanzania, has been constructed for this purpose in Dar es Salaam. The availability of reliable and affordable public transportation option in Tanzania contributes to a lower overall transportation cost. So, public transportation is widely used by both locals and expatriates, offering a more cost-effective and efficient way to get around the city. That's about transportation. Okay, let's move to healthcare. In Ghana, Ghana has made a significant stride in improving its healthcare infrastructure with the establishment of modern hospitals and medical facilities. Access to healthcare is generally good, but the cost of medical services can be relatively high, particularly for expatriates and for those seeking specialized medical treatment. Healthcare insurance is considered essential in managing healthcare expenses effectively in Ghana. So how about healthcare in Tanzania? Tanzania has also boasts of a growing healthcare sector, offering various medical services. The overall cost of healthcare in Tanzania tends to be more manageable, with affordable options available for routine medical care. While health insurance is still advisable, the cost of healthcare is relatively lower compared to Ghana, making quality healthcare more accessible. You see? Ghana is expensive. Everything, Ghana is expensive, Ghana is expensive. These words are not coming from me. These words are coming even from the African Americans themselves. The African Americans who've been to Ghana and the African Americans who've left Ghana. But still people will choose Ghana because of the connection they have with the country. Ghana is a country that I think all Africans should visit. It holds such a significant role. Actually, I think everybody in Jamaica should just go to Ghana and visit one day and then move back. Just see, because we have a great connection between Jamaica and Ghana, even Ghana and United States. It's in Ghana where it all started. It's here in Ghana where everything started. So how about education? Education in Ghana and education in Tanzania. First of all, Ghana. Ghana offers a mix of public and private educational institutions, catering to a variety of curricula and facilities. The cost of education can vary significantly depending on the institution and curriculum. Quality private schools and international schools can be expensive, with tuition fees at these institutions notably high. Public schools, while more affordable, may face challenges such as overcrowding and resource limitation, affecting the quality of education. How about Tanzania? Tanzania also provides a range of public and private educational options, catering to students at various levels. Tuition fees in Tanzania tends to be more reasonable compared to Ghana, making education more accessible for families, including expatriates. While the quality of education may vary depending on the institution, there are affordable options available for those seeking quality education at a lower cost. The price of an international school in Ghana will differ with the price of an international school in Tanzania. Tanzania is a cheaper country compared to Ghana. You see, I've been saying this all along. Now we've said a lot. Let's now conclude. It's time we conclude now. So the cost of living in Ghana and Tanzania is influenced by a multitude of factors, including housing, food, transportation, healthcare, and education. Ghana, characterized by a rapid urbanization and increased demand for real estate, has experienced notable rises in the cost of housing. This has a cascading effect on the overall cost of living in the country. Tanzania, on the other hand, maintains a more moderate cost of living, particularly in terms of housing and transportation, making it a more affordable option for some. However, it is essential to remember that individual circumstances, lifestyle choices, and personal preferences will significantly influence one's cost of living in these countries. Economic condition and living cost can also change over time. So staying informed about the latest development is crucial for making well-informed decisions about living in Ghana or Tanzania. That's it. My work here is to help you decide. I've given you the options. It's for you to decide where you want to move at. That's all for today. Good people, that's all for today. So do remember to subscribe to the channel, and I will really appreciate. See you guys in the next one.